Thank you. Good evening. How you doing? I'm Paul. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm a metalhead. And as a metalhead, I am obviously on first name terms with Satan. He's called Keith. Keith Satan, he has recently got out of the evil business. Satan started moving out of the evil business a few hundred years ago when the major religions really started moving in on his territory. Things came to a head a few months ago when Satan went to see some management consultants to get advice on streamlining hell's business practices. What you really need to do is sack all your outdated demons and start using slaves. Workfare labour. How many demons do you currently employ? My evil subjects are infinite in scope and number. An infinite number of workfare drones. You might have to meet with Theresa May to get that many. At which point, Satan vomited and left the meeting. I think Satan feels that the world has passed him by. He recently applied for a job as an executive at Sports Direct and wasn't even evil enough for an interview. I think Keith feels that there's no real point in being the Prince of Darkness in a world that already contains the Daily Mail, investment banking and the Jeremy Kyle show. And now there's an evil mutant Oompa Loompa in the White House. The father of lies is feeling completely inadequate. So, Satan is currently managing a little chef on the A239 just outside of Bracknell, which just goes to show that even though he's not involved in professional evil anymore, he is still keeping his hand in with a bit of amateur wickedness by tarnishing the souls of thousands of travellers with low-grade, greasy evil. Now, when I first wrote that bit, the person who originally made Satan vomit was Ian Duncan Smith. Then he resigned, and I was probably the only person in the country to be pissed off about that. So I changed it to David Cameron. Then Cameron, the filthy pig boy, also resigned. So I had to rewrite it all over again. So suddenly now it's Theresa May who causes Satan to lose his lunch, which, if anything, works even better than Ian Duncan Smith. And considering the effect that being featured in that piece of comedy has had on the careers of Ian Duncan Smith and David Cameron, I've got high hopes it's going to keep on working for Theresa May. It did very nearly work recently when Theresa called a snap general election whilst having the warmth, charm and electability of a rotting sheep's carcass. In fact, my satire is so effective, the only way she could beat it was to give £1 billion to a bunch of right-wing religious fundamentalist, bigoted terrorists. Now, I don't know how my comedy is causing evil politicians to resign. I don't know what the mechanism is, but yeah, you're welcome. Now, although I'd love to do this for a living, I do have a normal job, which I hate. One of the things that I don't like about my job is that in the rest areas, they have TVs with BBC News 24 on. So I listen to music and read, and I just glance at the TVs to see what the time is. Now, last week there was a news story on, I don't know what it was, but they had all these pictures of important world leaders. There's Donald Trump, Theresa May, Vladimir Putin, and Xi Jinping, Narendra Modi. And I was looking at all of these photos and realised that the most sane and level-headed of all of these important leaders of nuclear powers was Vladimir Putin. When the butcher of Grozny is the most sane and level-headed world leader that we've got, then we are in deep trouble. Donald Trump is only one step away from having a cape and a special helmet to stop Professor X from being able to read his mind. He really, really looks like he wants to be a supervillain from a Marvel comic. In comparison, Theresa May is quite mundane. Yes, the Tories are evil, but it's a kind of unimaginative, incompetent, boring evil. Like recently, she calls a snap general election, knowing that the rabid right-wing media are going to push the Tory brand whilst attacking Labour like a pack of wild dogs, and whoops, there goes the majority. Now, as the Conservative Party has said the last few years, becoming the world's biggest bunch of backstabbing, betraying, sadistic, self-serving scumbags, the media has had to up the level of lies that it tells in order to convince the population of this country that the biggest threat to them is anything but this Conservative government. So, I'm sorry, mainstream media, but I'm simply not scared of North Korea. The only people who should be scared of North Korea's policies are the people of North Korea. I don't think that we're going to be nuked by a third world nation when 90% of the population is starving. Statistically, I am far more likely to burn to death as a direct result of the planning decisions made by the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea than I am from a North Korean missile. And I'm not scared of ISIS either. I don't live in Iraq, Libya or Syria. Why would I be scared of ISIS? I haven't got time to be scared of ISIS. I'm far too busy being scared of ending up homeless. And while we're talking of pathetic, mundane evil, there's Stephen Crabb. Stephen Crabb is a big fan of trying to find a gay cure. But sexual preference is genetically predetermined. You're born that way. So trying to find a gay cure is like trying to find a cure for noses, or toes, or skin colour. In fact, maybe Stephen Crabb and his mates should be looking for a cure for being a bigoted arsehole. I'm Stephen Crabb, and I'm a bigoted, homophobic arsehole. Do you know there's a cure for that? Is there? I like cures! I'd never have guessed. Yeah, the cure's called not being a dick. I'm not sure I'd like that. That's a shame, because not being a dick could have stopped you from torturing disabled people as well. Now, I am quite lucky in that I'm quite old, but I don't really look it. Nearly all of my secondary schooling was done when Thatcher was in power. So as a result of the ideological destruction of the curriculum and constant strikes, I didn't learn much at school. But since then, I have put quite a lot of effort into educating myself. I read a lot. Recently, I've been reading a lot of philosophy. I don't understand all of it, and I definitely don't agree with all of it. In my opinion, Nietzsche was more full of shit than a Portaloo after a 3-day curry and real ale festival. Oh, and God save us from the ontological argument. But, having said that, I do believe that we can all learn from philosophers and great thinkers. For example, irritating ex-DJ Noel Edmonds got in trouble recently because he tweeted that he thought Britain was full. This was after getting stuck in a traffic jam during rush hour. Now, I think that Noel, the beardy bigot, could learn from the Indian political and religious leader Mohandas K. Gandhi. Now, Gandhi said that we should be the change that we want to see in the world. So, Noel, if you think the country's full, be the change that you want to see in the world and fuck off. If you think the country's full, make room. Can I just point out that I don't think the country's full? I've been to mid-Wales, I've been to Cornwall. This country definitely isn't full. Look, there's room for someone there. The philosopher Schopenhauer developed a system based on renunciation and ascetic practice. Schopenhauer believed that the only way to control the human will was through giving up all pleasures and reducing life to the barest and minimal essentials. Schopenhauer was not the life and soul of the party. Not even a really, really small party. Schopenhauer would have considered an amoeba's birthday party to be recklessly extravagant. Now, if a person who was prone to taking things to stupid extremes became convinced of Schopenhauer's system, they could be in danger of taking it so far that renunciation would result in them starving themselves to death. So, I've sent copies of all of Schopenhauer's books to Donald Trump. But as he's still here, the tubby fascist clearly hasn't read them. Unfortunately, philosophy is not a very effective method of assassination. Sorry, apparently he's still working his way through C-Spot Run. Descartes' great achievement, cognito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, has been an important pillar of philosophy for nearly 400 years. Descartes discounted sense data and instead used the human intellect as a source, as a proof of human existence. The fact that there's an intellect to ask the question, do I exist, proves the existence of the mind that's making the inquiry. Sadly, however, that can now be seen as being false, as it has been proven that Stephen Crabb definitely does exist. It's a shame that such a sublime piece of philosophical reasoning has been overturned by the existence of a bigoted, homophobic arsehole. But I think in cases like this, it's best to be philosophical about it. And, as that's the end of my set, we're just going to have to be philosophical about that too. So I am going to say good night. Good night.